We are in Parashat Re'eh. The name of the parasha connects us to the matter of seeing and eyes, because Re'eh means look, see. And according to Kabbalah, they represent the attribute, the sfera of Chokhmah. That sfera is referred to or regards to the regarding to the energy, the initial and raw energy that the world was created. In other words, what we call in Kabbalah Or de Chokhmah, the light of wisdom. And we are talking about a very, very strong and powerful energy that is really going to engulf us all throughout this week. The parasha starts with the word Re'eh anochi noten lifnechem hayom beracha uklala. Look for upon, I give you today in front of you a blessing and a curse. And in that reference, there is a very beautiful statement of the Ohev Israel, the Rabbi Opt, and explains that when we are born, many things are already predetermined. Like, for example, your genetic disposition, your intellectual abilities, and physical abilities, and so on and so forth. Besides all the things that have to do with a free choice. Everything else is determined. You're going to be skinny, you're going to be tall, you're going to be red-haired, bald-haired. That is already determined. But anything that has to do with free choice is left open for you. So, for example, that's what we say, if a person is going to become a tzaddik or a rasha, that's already up to you. That's not determined from Shamayim. That's all up to you. And we get up every morning, and you have to remember, we get up every morning with feelings and emotions that really allow us to choose, Rabotai, every single day between a blessing and a curse, to look at the positive or to look at the negative. And that is the true essence of our lives, the ability to choose. I'm going to look at something, we're going to choose. Like we spoke about this morning in Yeshiva, about the issue that there are differences, let's say, between tefillah, between prayer of Ashkenazim and Sfardim. So somebody said it's a bad thing, and I said, no, on the contrary, it's a good thing. And, well, it depends all on how you actually look at it. Let's talk a little bit about the power of choosing. HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives us, within one thing, He engulfs everything. And that is the ability to choose. And because He gave us the ability to choose, we need to choose every single day. Every day we have to make a decision. On every single thing we have to make a decision. And the matter of free choice really comes in, to express itself in very nice words that Moshe Rabbeinu says, Noten lifnechem hayom. So first of all, Noten lifnechem hayom, you should say, Asher natati lifnechem hayom, which I gave you today. But Noten also represents an ongoing giving. Every single day I give you the ability to choose. Every single day I give you free choice. And that is a very big fundamental point in Judaism versus other religions, when in other religions we have the concept of karma and luck and so on and so forth. We have free choice. And a person was giving a choice to go b'derech hachayim, in the path of life, or as they call it in Japanese, the door of life, or, God forbid, to go into the path of not righteousness, of evil, and to go into darkness. Everything is dependent on his choice and the way he's going to make up his mind. Your will and your choice. It says about Adam HaRishon, first man, Hen ha'adam haya ke'echad mimenu lada'at tov ve'ra. Man is just like us, has the godly ability, come on, I'm waiting for a bracha, has the godly ability to be able to determine between good and bad. And mankind is the only creature in creation that has this ability to choose between good and bad. That's why a person needs to look and to contemplate, and every single day choose the bracha, choose the positive. Whatever it is, look at what good could happen, not what bad will happen, and that's what will happen. למקום שאדם רוצה לילך מליכים אותו, to a place that you want to go, that's where you're being taken. To be able to determine between good and bad, I need to determine good or bad, and then I need to choose good. That, of course, takes learning, takes experience, but you need to choose. And the hint for that, or the lesson for that, comes actually in Parashat Nitzavim. Natati lefanecha, I gave upon you, habracha ve'aklala, uvacharta b'chaim, and you choose life. Choose to celebrate life. So the Rabbi from Opt adds on, and he's becoming very particular on the word Natan, which you can read it from in Hebrew from both sides. In other words, we call it philundrum, right? You can read it from both sides. Nun, taf nun, and then you can read it the same way. Whichever way you read it, it's your giving. You're going to choose, but you have to choose. And that is the tachlit, the purpose is only to do good to its people. And the hashpa'ah, the influence of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, is only good at the end that comes to us. That's why whether it's a bracha, a blessing, or a curse, klala, which is basically the way in which we relate or refer to our reality, is in our control. And we are the ones who determine how our reality will be, good or bad. And if you don't choose, somebody else will choose for you. And then it's not your life anymore. Start making decisions. Make decisions. Of course, that brings me to a point that I always bothered me, is that whether it's parents that instruct their children, or whether it's schools, we don't teach our kids to make decisions, to be able to make a decision. I saw an interview with a F-18 pilot that was also in the Blue Angels. One of the things he said over there, is the ability to be able to, with a split of a second, make decisions, and, which I thought was fascinating, to own your mistakes. I made a mistake, like David HaMelech. I made a mistake. Only then, there are very good pilots, but only pilots like this could become F-18 pilots. He said that the training to fly a jet is not so difficult. You don't need to be a super person to fly a jet. The training is amazing, but within that, your ability to own your mistakes. So the Ohev Israel calls that matter ha'emet ve'asheker, the truth or the lie or false, in which the way which we refer to and we reacted to situations in our lives. The sheker, right? So the sheker is using or dealing with minor things, with little things of life, right? Like what we call gossip, who said to who what. That's basically what we are doing today when you have, how do you call this? Tabloids, this one got married to this one, this betrayed this one, this dated the other one.
People's Magazine.
Yeah, without names, I don't want to get a lawsuit here, but you know what I'm saying. I don't care, with this one divorced the other one, okay, good for them or bad for them, but whatever it is, but it has to do with me, I don't care. But we deal with all these things all the time, like what we call yellow journalism. It's like, making you deal with nothing. with nonsense and making you deal with shtuyot. And by the way, this is how they get you away from the truth. When you, excuse me, occupy yourself with such nonsense information, it teaches you to stay away from the truth. And then when you're so occupied with who did the Princess Diane went with, and what the Charles did, and what the I don't know what all these things, slowly, but very systematically remove you from the path of the truth into the path of the lie. Because if you and believe me, it goes right away, and it teaches you to become angry, non-compassionate, and then together right after that. And you see it like this in our society. We live in a society, guys, I know I'm old. But I've seen the world jump beyond leaps and bounds in my lifetime that I don't think it did in 200 years beforehand. Yeah, you can take more. You should take more. You made it, you take more. So now, why am I talking about? I feel that especially since COVID was a very big downfall in terms of humanity, what they did in the world. There is a feeling of no hope. People don't have hope anymore. They don't want to celebrate life. And there is always anger and frustration, and that is a very bad path in which we are directing ourselves towards. And we need to create a motion against it that is concentrating on what really is important. Because after anger, after dealing with all this nonsense, with all the gossip and all these things, and that's why the Torah warns us, Al tilech rachel, don't be a gossiper, no gossip. Because it leads you to such a place. Then you're going to become angry, then you're going to give up, and you're not going to be besimcha, and you're going to feel miserable, you're going to feel poor me, you will not want to do anything. If you look at the ability or the amount of businesses that there were, and I'm not talking on such a long time ago. 30 years ago, you went to Main Street, everything was booming in terms of business. People don't open businesses anymore. Nobody wants to work. Everybody wants to make a quick buck and just get out of here. There's no such thing as putting hard work. By the way, if you're going to open a business today, you're probably going to be ahead of everybody else. If you're going to be willing to work hard, you're going to be ahead of everybody else because nobody wants to work. Before, everybody worked hard. Today, nobody wants to work. So if you're going to work hard, you're going to be way ahead of everybody. The truth is when we are able to enter into those situations, a certain light, and to bring light to our life, and that's the purpose of our life, that's the essence of our life. For that, we need to be focused all the time with our thoughts. We need to control our thoughts. We need to be the masters of our existence in terms of determining what is good and what is bad. I don't let society make this for me, and that society is a big thing in our week's parasha. And only then we could become a vessel for a light that will come and shine from inside of us all the time. And I'm going to tell you the truth. Avner tzaddikat avarifach. Here, take some chula and kugel. And talking about society, if we talk about society, and let's be honest Let's be honest with ourselves in terms of society. How much are you influenced from, let's say, background noise of society? How much are you influenced? How much are you influenced from your environment, from the people around you, and so on? Are you driven from what people would say about you? What others thinks of you? Even more so, are you influenced what everybody is doing? How many times I heard, but Rabbi, everybody else does it. Why do I care what everybody else does? Right, Yonatan? Why do I care what everybody else does? Well, everybody goes to Punta Cana. So, okay, what have to do with me? Or Cancun. What do you have to do with me? Well, so everybody else does. And if your spouse, husband or wife, wants to do things because everybody else does, I think you made a mistake. Or you're not investing enough in their relationship. They did a research, right? What we call let's put it this way: our default impulse is to say right away, and I'm sure you all said, listen, I'm not so influenced by society. When practically speaking, it's not the case. There was a research that will prove it. There's a research that they asked doctors if their colleagues are influenced from gifts or advertisements or pushing of medicine of Big Pharma. Where's Ariel when I need him? Big Pharma. Right? So 4 out of 5 doctors held that yes, their colleagues are completely influenced by the gifts and the PR that those Big Pharma does. But when they asked them, are they themselves influenced by that? Only 16%, 1/6, said that they are influenced. So 4 out of 5 are, but they're not even there. I mean, it's a crazy number. So that shows you that we are, and we have to be very careful. What does it teach us? So it teaches, first of all, that we are all susceptible for influence by our society. And second, we probably are not so much aware of that. We are not aware of that. And that is a very important thing that we have to take into account in every action and every decision that we're making. Why am I making my decision? What's the basis of my decision? Is this pure generated for me or because I saw it somewhere else? I told you this, many times already ago, when I couldn't understand one time why all of a sudden people started to smoke cigars and wearing suspenders. I'll tell you the truth, my aunt's father, he was a Jewish general in the Polish army, believe it or not. He was a classy man. His name was Ruda Sevek. An amazing person, intellectual, interesting person. He is a Polish from the Polish army. He spent some years before the war in China. Crazy stuff. I mean, unbelievable things. The guy used to smoke cigar and smoke a pipe. Since I was a kid, I liked the smell of cigars. I loved it. I mean, it was like, I couldn't stand cigarettes, but cigars I love. But I couldn't believe why everybody smokes all of a sudden, like in the early night, everybody started wearing suspenders and smoking cigars. And I started asking around. I said, look, what is this? Why this whole thing is coming about?
Trend.
And they told me, yeah, it's a trend because of the movie Wall Street. In the movie Wall Street, everybody was wearing suspenders. If you made it, you wore suspenders. And it was so funny that I started to observe it, that many menalim in yeshivas, once they got the position of a menal, the first thing they did is drop the belt and got suspenders. I mean, I guess you made it. That's like, badge, you get a ranger patch and they got suspenders. So that was the thing. We need to understand the human mechanism and its weaknesses. Or if we're going to use, a little bit of like a high-tech algorithm, kind of a thing, we have to recognize the human algorithm and the implanted bugs that are in it. I mean, our behavior is so even measured by algorithms that you put it into a company like Google, they could determine what you want before you even know you want it. So that is that topic gets even a greater emphasis in this week's parasha, in Parashat Re'eh, in which the first part of the parasha warns us over and over and over again from the temptation of idol worshiping. This really cruel way of life that, believe it or not, included burning babies, just like the Hamas did in October 7th. And whoever is that bright light who wants us to make peace with this kind of a thing, I don't understand that. But that is the path of evil, of darkness. And if you're going to read this parasha, you might ask yourself, who exactly is this, instructions are directed to? Is there a person who has common sense that is going to really be willing to adapt this kind of a behavior, this kind of a cruel behavior from a nation that was already, from the time of Har Sinai, was already, sealed itself with blood into high moral life or high moral standards? How are we going to go into the practices of the Molech and so on? And the answer is that the nature of man is to go after the atmosphere around it, whatever is around it. This is not just an emotional mechanism. The brain started to justify this kind of life and make it more normal or normalize it and make it like mainstream by a whole different array of ways and re-evaluating virtues and values. As you could see to many things that we see today, that all of a sudden today they became normal, and you cannot call them abnormal, or you call them weird, or you call them whatever you want to call them. That's how they do it. And before you know, you're going to find yourself as a frum person making statements that really go against the fundamental concepts of the Torah. And you're going to find a reason why it's okay. That's how we work. That's how we do it. That's why this parasha really begs us to take one step back and do not expose yourself to this kind of a behavior, or this kind of a culture, because this kind of exposure is not going to bring you to a good thing. That's why I keep telling you all the time. Listen, I love the ocean. I love diving. I love swimming. I love all these things. Believe me, I do. But I can't do it here. There's no separate beach to do so. So I cannot bring myself to go. I would rather be in the mountains, in a cabin, by myself, me and my wife, than to be on the beach with another, 1,000 people with all kind of things that looks like jellyfish, but they're just on people's bathing suits. I don't want to be exposed to this kind of a culture. I don't want to be a part of it, because what they'll do, eventually I will do, and my children will do even more. And I don't want that. I don't want it. That's why I don't see any justification to go to all these resorts that offer you all these things when you know that there's going to be things that you're not supposed to see. Like, for example, women in bikinis. I don't want to be exposed to that. I'm not saying women in bikinis is not a beautiful sight, but that's something that I want to expose myself. Everything is as beautiful as God created. But I don't want to be exposed myself to that. I don't want to do it. So that's why I'm not going. That's why I've never been to the Caribbean. I'm sure the Caribbeans are beautiful. I would love to scuba dive there because I love scuba diving. But I'm not going there because I can't do so in a format that would coexist with my life and my values. And I don't want to adapt other people's values on mine. I cannot even maintain mine, so I'm going to take somebody else's values. I don't want to do it. But that's why there's no substitute for a good RV trip. Or overlanding, right? Mr. Z. So, if you're going to expose to that, you're going most likely, there's almost like a guarantee that you're going to be influenced by it, and it's out of control. And I'll give you an example. There's like in the business world, there's such thing that's called the herd mentality. Where'd your brother go? I just want him to listen to this. There's such thing that's called the herd mentality. What's the herd mentality, right? So the herd mentality says that if there's a project, right? I want to run a project. Shmuel, it's okay, just leave it. I want to run a project, but I don't have money for the project. So what do? How am I going to bring money to my project? I can talk to you until tomorrow, but to get a penny from your pocket is going to be impossible. How am I going to do it? How am I going to raise millions of dollars for my project when you don't want to give me $1? Did you ever try to raise money for Yeshiva? Good luck.
So you've already raised a lot.
So Yeshivot picked on that as well also, or I'll say Yeshivot, the Torah will pick on that also, right? And I'm not liking it. I'll be honest with you, I'm not liking it. Comes this organization. We are raising money for our organization. There's somebody who already said that he will donate $10,000, and from that point on, every penny or every dollar that you're going to do, he's going to match it. Most of the time, there's nobody behind it. It's just a statement. Yahweh. So what happens is the following: if I have a project that I need to raise money, so I'm going to go to Ari. I'm going to say, Ari, listen. I'm going to say, and you're going to say yes to me, that you already gave $1 million to this project. So then I'm going to go to Zalma and say, Zalma, listen, I have this project. It's a great project. I already raised $1 million. And you said, oh wow, you raised $1 million. Okay, I want to be in. Let me in. And then I'm going to go to him. And then I'm going to go to him. And then so on and so forth. And then before you know, I have all this money that if I would have to do backflips, I would not be able to get $1 from you for a cup of coffee. But before you know, I made you spend so much more money and so-called become partners, because that's the herd mentality. Now, you should know also, by the way, that even public auctions work the same way, right? Sometimes you have somebody who's going to raise the prices just so there's going to be a competition, or it works in shul, right? You see the price doesn't go up, so you say, $200 or $200. Until now, for half an hour, the guy cannot raise $1. Somebody says $200, somebody says $100, $300, $350, $400. Then you sit down and say, okay, thank you very much. That's a herd mentality. That's how we are influenced by society. So of course, going back to that, so we have to go back to the ability to choose what to see. So what do we see? Do we see good, or do we see bad? We see a blessing, we see a curse. So the Parashat tells us the different types of birds that are inappropriate for us to eat. Right? The Torah says, "Kol tzipor te'ora tochlu." Any pure bird or kosher bird, that's what you eat. And these are the ones in which you're not going to eat. It's a nesher, v'aperes, and so on and so on and so forth. So from a internal point of view, right, we could see generally that every animal that is basically we're not able to eat or consume. The reason is that the animal itself has some kind of bad midot, some bad qualities to it, right? And these are qualities that Torah warns us to even connect to, certain kind of cruelty or viciousness, or anything that it's preying, that it's there to kill, and so on and so forth. One of the birds that comes in this list is a tzipor, a bird that's called re'ah. Oh, right? Oh, re'ah. The Baal Shem Tov says, it says in the Gemara that the name of tzipor is re'ah because this bird stands in Bavel, and it sees a nevela, it sees a dead corpse in Eretz Israel, right, in Masechet Chulin, and it will be able to go from here to there. And these are the Bnei Adam, these are the people, he says, she'omdim beBavel, they stayed in Bavel, haynu bebilbul da'atam, they are completely confused. Bavel, not necessarily Babylon, by the rivers of Babylon, but rather they are standing in a state of confusion. And mushkaim besitra achara, they are immersed with impurity and impure life. Whatever it is that they hang around and how they do and what they do and so on and so forth. And there are unfortunately a lot of people like this. And then they see nevelot, and they see some kind of a pgam, some kind of a blemish in Eretz Israel, and that's they're able to pick. And they are the ones who always talk about us. Those people, and there are people like this, they're never going to say there's something good this person has done for me. They're not going to say, oh, this person, he took advantage of me, he did this to me, he did that to me. Excuse me, can you say something good out of your mouth? A person like this, he's immersed in the sitra acharad, says the Baal Shem Tov. He's immersed in impurity, he's immersed in tum'ah. And a person like this, you should stay away from. You should stay away from it. Stay away from it. Don't come near it. That's what the Baal Shem Tov is saying. It says, Sha'alu tzadikim v'chasidei ador. These are the righteous people that are called Eretz Israel. We are the generation that it says, Hoya omrim lara tov ve'latov ra. We are the people who said that the good is bad and the bad is good. Samim choshech le'or ve'or la'choshech. We confuse we put darkness into light and light into darkness. Samim mar le'matok u'matok le'mar. We make bitter sweet and sweet bitter. That's it says in which book?
Mishnah.
Which book?
Rambam?
Isaiah.
Shayahu.
Which chapter?
43.
5.
Wow. Close.
That's right. Verse
12. 3.
22.
20. We are like this bird that stays in a state of a confusion in a generation, in our generation, and we see light as darkness and darkness as light. Look, for crying out loud, what happened in the world? Am Israel was attacked in a most brutal way on October 7th. Women were raped and killed, and babies and men and women butchered, and we are the bad ones. And you want to tell me that you want to be a part of this kind of a society? You want to tell me that you're going to vote for a party that supports this kind of a thing? Are you thinking with what part of your body exactly? Can you please tell me? Because I'm sure it's not your brains. I'm sure it's not your brain. We are in an absolute state of confusion. And we have to come back to the light. We have to come back to the truth. Do we see the mitzvot of the Torah? Do we see the mitzvot of the Torah as obstacles in our way to have a good time? Do we see the mitzvot of the Torah as something that it's old and it's obsolete? What are you holding about those topics? Or we slowly able to remove this fog and to really purify our internal ability to really see the greatness of HaKadosh Baruch Hu in every aspect of our life. With every step that you make, you could see the glory of God. You don't have to go to the top of the Himalaya to look and to say, Maravu Ma'asecha Hashem. You don't have to do it. You could see God in everything in life. Whether you're learning astrophysics or you're fixing shoes, you could see God. Whether you choose to see it or not, that's up to you. But that's what we need to do. Right? We need to look for and search for this light. And if we would search for the pleasures of the body of this world, of being pampered by people and so on and so forth. I'll tell you the truth, I don't like when people serve me. That's why one of the reasons I don't like to go to restaurants. I don't like the people serve me. I don't think it's right that somebody would serve me. He is just as a human being as I am. I feel very uncomfortable if I go to the hotel and I see some lady fixing my bed. I think it's wrong. I don't want a housewife. Not a housewife, a maid, you know how you call this, women who clean up, right? I don't want somebody like that. I don't want anybody to clean after my mess. I messed it up, I'll clean it up. I don't want somebody to do my dishes. I would like to do other people's dishes, my wife's dishes, my children, but I'm not expecting anybody to do it, and especially a stranger, I don't want to do it. Just think about that. We are chasing after nonsense. And that is, by the way, when you enter the stage of darkness. That's the entering the stage of darkness. What we thought to be darkness, right? The dark world of Chas v'Shalom, Torah and mitzvot, right? You dark people, you this and that. That is the light. The way of Hashem is the way of light. And our Parashat gives us the ability to be able to focus ourselves, to put the appropriate correction vision, to see things appropriately, to see things, and we need and we must start seeing things a little bit more on a spiritual level rather than the pleasures of the body. When our actions are accompanied by the intent of influencing, of making people feel better, or to make this world into a better place, then the original intent of creation is being fulfilled. What? Lehetiv lenivraim, to make this world into a better place. That's when it does it. Then, when you are doing that, then you are connected to the light. That's why I said, give up from yourselves. Give something from yourselves to others. I know I'm very big about volunteering and doing things, but you should do it. Don't be selfish just for yourself, right? To be able to understand that doing such like things is basically a way to purify yourself, to reshape your entity of really who you are, that selfish entity that we never get rid of since we were babies, which we needed as a baby to survive, but right now we don't need it. Right now we need to share. Right now we need to help. Right now we need to give. And the Torah in all its ways, that's the issues of tzedakah and giving meiser and supporting and helping somebody fix his tire and somebody helping like this. People don't want to help another people. But you should know, usually a man will be able to take his pain by himself. He would not ask for help. He will try to solve his problem by himself. So therefore, if already a man is coming to you and asking you for help, you should realize that you probably his less hope. So you better help him. If somebody asks for your help, don't tell him no. Help him. That will help you. By helping another person, it helps you. And when we are doing so, we are connected to mamash, a great light. In other words, the level of our selfishness really determines if the shefa, if the abundance that we get from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that we get it all the time, is going to be a curse to us, is going to be a blessing to us. We get the shefa, we get sweet stuff, but is that going to be sweet for your flavor on your mouth, or is it going to be diabetic for you? How are you going to deal with this? This reality of our life is very subjective, and the duality of it, that zigzag that we do between bracha and klala, really depends upon us. We started with Re'eh, and the parasha ends in the issue with the story of a false prophet to teach us and to remind us that we don't really know what we see. And if we see things right, and we don't see things right, so therefore our only glasses, the receptacles that we can put in that are always valid, that we could really see the reality of our lives, is the reality of Ve'ahavta l're'echa kamocha, of love, of compassion, of circleism, that understanding that of giving and giving in order for you to get, and then you give, and this is the circle that you get all the time, in order to receive, in order to give. This is the way in which we should go for. And you see, Rabotai, when you're learning, you have to be selfish. I'm learning right now, I can't be bothered with anything, I'm learning. But you need to move from stage 1 to stage 2, ללמוד וללמד, לשמור ולעשות ולקיים. Kiyum mitzvot, which is probably the most important thing that we can do in our lives. Kiyum mitzvot is dependent on moving from stage 1 from stage 2. First of all, we receive, we are being poured into. That's the kli. When you are learning, somebody is teaching you, but this is only so you can give it to somebody else. But we are on the corner from Rosh Hashanah. You still have time to make this year a profitable year for you, for all of you. Let's not close this year with a loss. Let's close this year with a gain. Whatever time we have between now and Rosh Hashanah, let's not leave anybody behind. Let's make sure that everybody is accounted for. You see your friend is down, call him up. Make a kesher. Somebody hasn't come to Yeshiva a long time, somebody hasn't come to Shul for a long time, pick up your phone, call, start caring. Start giving. Start give from yourself. And then at the end, Sof Mas, right? We said that what determines is really the end of the action. So we're going to come to the year with such a big plus. I think we can make a case for another year. So let's make this year into a profitable year. Let's be the gorem, the source of positive influence on the people around us. Let's try to stay positive and stay away from negative people. Because negative people are something to stay away from. Why? Because they are the constant obstacle in your way, in your journey to become successful. So have a Shabbat Shalom and Rosh Chodesh Tov.